in what has been a challenging SEC season for all. And here we go. Ny'Sera Pryor, the senior out of Baltimore, Maryland. You talked about her being the top scorer. They're going to need her to come up big today. She looks for a shot early off the mark.
And Texas is coming in, trying to deliver a message specifically on the defensive side. Vic Schaefer has said that's what he has built every program that he has become a part of on. And you've got to get off to a good start because you don't want the Aggies to build any kind of confidence early.
Well, having trouble inbounding the basketball, a 5-second violation. So good coverage there by the defense of Texas. And both of these coaches, two outstanding leaders of their programs. Also, they fall in love with defense. That is the cornerstone of each of their programs. For Rory Harmon leading the way on this offensive side. Taking a look at the starting lineup, Jordan Lee along with Madison Booker. We'll talk more about Booker throughout this game as Brea Cunningham, one of the new faces for the Longhorns, commits the foul on Janae Kent. And this is practically a brand new team for the Aggies this season. And to go along with Nye Pryor, you add that with Fats Johnnay and the job that she has done. So they've got to play top tier today against this Texas group if they want to notch a win in the SEC.
And for Texas A&M, bringing in 12 new players has a lot to do with the inconsistency, the field goal percentage, because they're understanding where's the shot supposed to come from, who's supposed to take one shot, what shot, and be willing to take it.
Texas A&M out inside the Moody Center, stands to their feet until Texas makes their first shot of the game.
Well, at Texas A&M, their number one priority against Texas is to protect the paint. That is where the Longhorns, that's where their bread is buttered.
Swinging around. 8 points, the first two right there for Texas.
And it's going to be tough, a long night for Texas A&M if they play behind the post and let the ball come in without bringing a double team.
Sully came over from Wichita State. She takes a tough two to the hoop.
That's how you compete when you're coming in against Texas. You can't sow fear. You got to be aggressive to the rim.
Joni Taylor wants to see her crew loose. Meanwhile, Vic Schaefer wants to see his team and how they respond after two tough games by a total of 8 points, and that's blocked by Johnnay. The Longhorns still control it. 7 to go on the shot clock. And Booker, who pulls up in the mid-range. That is her money game, and there she is, cashing in.
This is the top mid-range player in the country, and Texas turns A&M over. Here they come.
Rory Harmon's like, I want to feel some of that mid-range juice too. A 6-4 advantage early on. And we talked about the guards here in this point guard matchup. We got to get across, and a 10-second violation. So already turning up the heat defensively as Rory Harmon was right up in the face of Pryor. Thanks so much, Chucky, here in Austin. Number 4, Texas, looking to rebound after back-to-back losses to LSU and South Carolina. This Lone Star State showdown with Texas A&M. It was the Aggies who got on the board first, but Texas with an early 6-4 advantage.
Well, when Texas is able to score the basketball, that's when they're able to get that pressure on. They were able to force turnovers and turn this thing around real quick.
And just to remind you, folks, one of the matchups you want to key in on today is the backcourt, the point guards in this game. The good guard almighty, as our production crew has put together, and aptly named because when you think about Nye Pryor, her leading the way for the Aggie. Your point, I mean, the fact that she came here to Texas, that was one of the reasons why she wanted to be here, so she could be coached by him and his defensive mind. And boy, has she flourished. She's one of the best players in the game, the SEC player of the year a season ago.
Well, you just watched her from freshman to sophomore to now her junior year, how she has elevated her game. And, you know, she's kind of like Simone Augustus in the queen of the mid-range.
Well, that is where she makes her money. She is able to drop in the mid-range more than anybody in the country. And that one blocked by John A. So a couple of deflections there from John A. already in this game. It still remains with Texas 12 seconds left on the shot clock.
In this zone that Texas A&M is running, they're going through with the shooters. So if Jordan Lee goes through or Madison Booker goes through, they may even get kind of unorganized, and then they've got to cover for each other, but they're trying their best not to allow the ball to come in the paint.
Harmon thought about it, got to put up a shot quickly, gives it over to Booker for three, and it's off the mark. So good defense there by the Aggies, because that's an area where you don't mind if it's winding down on the shot clock and they launch a three, they don't hit many of them.
One of the best in the game of Joni Taylor to having a strategic defensive game plan. She wants to take away plan A, make you go to plan B and C, and a lot of times, if you can stay locked in for 30 seconds, you can make good things happen.
Meanwhile, Pryor being guarded by Bree Preston, who checks into the ball game. Nice dump off as John A. runs into Cunningham. No foul or whistle. It's last touched by the Aggies, and it's Texas A&M, or rather Texas basketball. We've seen 5 turnovers in this early going thus far in 9 possessions for the Aggies. Taking care of the basketball is going to be critical for the visitors.
You got to take care of the ball against Texas, because if it's a live ball turnover, they are off to the races.
Too strong from Preston.
Oh, that's a big rebound by Parker.
Emerald Parker, who checks in. Remember, the Aggies without Lauren Ware, who has been bothered by a knee. So she's out. Her production certainly missed, as we talked with Joni Taylor today earlier at shoot-around. Who's going to make the adjustment? They're trying to fill in that scoring. Nye Pryor, a lot of dribbling, got to put it up. And good defense from Judd, but better offense from the 5'3" Pryor.
That's the things that she can do at 5'3". Yeah, shot clock's running down, a bigger defender on her, but she's finding those opportunities. The reason she averages 16 points a game.
Inside, open look for Judd, and Ashton Judd puts it in. The senior who transferred over from Missouri. And she just adds depth to this ball club. And she was fully healthy in December after fracturing her kneecap. A long three there from John A. And wrestled away by Judd. And here come the Longhorns off that screen. A little pick and pop. Preston, her first points of the game.
See, Texas A&M has got to be careful. Quick shots and turnovers. Those quick shots are like a turnover to allow Texas to run.
We mentioned this program with 12 new players on the floor. Among them, Janae Kent sees that pop out. Good kick, corner, three, no for Jordan Lee.
Now, in Texas A&M, they've got to run opportunistically.
Kent, another attempt, no. And a push in the back by John A., the junior out of London, England. Taking a look at the last couple of Texas buckets. Good recognition from Madison Booker.
Yeah, the ball movement with the overload. It's going to be that diagonal on the backside against that zone, and then pushing and transition. Defensively, you got to keep the ball on one side of the floor. You can't let the ball handler cross Main Street.
Already 5 different Texas players have scored a bucket here for a 4-point lead. And just to give you folks at home an idea of just how good they are one of the best in the country. 4th in terms of scoring, along with field goal percentage as well.
Well, one of the reasons their field goal percentage is 51%, they go in the paint. Those are high percentage shots, and especially with the post game that the Longhorns have.
They kick it out to Lee, and Ashton Judd behind the line. Front iron, no. Lee, yes, second chance points, critical as they score about 17 a game, and they also are really good on the offensive glass as well.
And keeping an eye, we've talked about points in the paint right now. Texas leads that category 6-2.
Pryor bounce pass, good recognition. Steenbergen was blocked by Madison Booker. Now Booker, the junior out of Ridgeland, Mississippi, can absolutely do it all.
Well, Madison Booker comes from behind to get this one. I mean, just the athleticism.
Too strong from downtown from Booker. Taking her time, Steenbergen picks up her dribble and throws it off of Preston wisely. So Steenbergen, the junior out of the Netherlands, who transferred over from Liberty.
One of the things that Vic Schaefer challenged his team with was toughness and that on-ball defense. So if your person picks up the basketball, you got to take away all the vision. You can't back up and play soft.
Another 5-second violation. Second time we've seen that today, along with a 10-second backcourt violation. So the pressure ramping up for Vic Schaefer's team. And you talked about just the toughness. You go back to that LSU loss on January 11th. And he said, our team just didn't bring that same toughness. So close ball game Thursday against South Carolina. Nice lob in from Lee to Justice Carlton. So Carlton first minutes, or first points of the game. And a 14-6 advantage for the Longhorns. And tough take there from Pryor, who's going up against a much bigger defender in the 6'4 Cunningham.
See, the offense, you're going to watch the backside of the zone. Freeze it right here. You see Madison Booker setting that screen right there to get the backside lob when it's overloaded, and Vic expected zone defense, so his team well prepared.
A tie up and a foul whistled on Cunningham. And that's her second personal foul. And Cunningham, who started her career at Prairie View, she'll take a seat as Kyla Oldacre receives a nice applause from the crowd.
Now the bad news is that Cunningham has 2 fouls. The good news is, well, who comes in but Kyla Oldacre at 6'6". There is nobody even close to that size for Texas A&M.
And following up that applause from Oldacre was Elise back into the ball game. She missed nearly 2 months out with a foot injury, and the freshman out of Minnetonka, Minnesota, was off to a great start before she was slowed by that injury. She started the first 5 games, number 5 recruit in our next 100, highest ranked recruit for Vic Schaefer.
Look, not only was she averaging 13 points a game in those first 5 games, she was starting in those first 5 games as a freshman. This young woman can flat out shoot the basketball.
Inside to Oldacre, the size advantage there as a couple of post players tumble over. The foul's going to go against Emerald Parker. Her first, team's third.
I'll go back and talk about Crump as well. The three-point shooting is an area that Texas needs because they just average making a little over 4 threes a game.
As it's stolen away by Pryor, all alone in the transition to, and the Aggies within 4.
Well, that's 3 turnovers now by Texas.
We're going into those last couple of games prior to that LSU game. They had done terrific with taking care of the basketball. That 3 off the mark from Crump, and then a season-high 17 versus the Tigers, and then they upped that total last game against South Carolina with a season high of 22.
For it to only be a 4-point game, good sign with Texas A&M, but they can't turn the ball over, and Joni Taylor's really looking at how does her team handle adversity.
Oldacre, you talked about using that 6'6" frame to her advantage, and she gets on the board. So far, early impressions of this first quarter, It's going to be holding on to the basketball as Texas does an outstanding job of forcing turnovers. They force about 24 a game. Their last touch by the visitors.
Now 8 turnovers now for Texas A&M. I mean, that's when you're preparing your scouting report against Texas. The number one thing you got to talk about is ball security. Ball security, and then you got to guard the paint. Guard your yard.
I like that, just in and out of the hands of Carlton. A very lively Sunday here. A lot of activity around Austin. And certainly no one wanted to miss this Lone Star State showdown between the Aggies and the Longhorns. They're going to hold for the final shot, looking for the best available. Lamaya Hilton bailed out with the foul with 5.9 seconds left in the quarter.
Was that a shot or a pass?
It appeared that she kind of looked like she lobbed it up. Let's see.
They're going to say that was on the pass.
Cheney Spencer, first seconds of this ball game, and deflected. Texas A&M has 5 seconds to work with.
And now with Nye Pryor on the bench, Kent's got to be the option.
That one turned over. Oldacre gets it in the hands of Booker. She was practicing this at shoot around the half.
Harley Warlick. We had a good time. That was a fun way to start my coaching career.
I would have liked to just had a couple of drinks with you all and just hear some of the stories.
That's all fair conversation.
Webster has it stolen away by Madison Booker. Out and running in transition, tries to finish. No, Booker gets the ball back, reverses it in. So staying with it the entire time, right position for Madison Booker.
Yeah, Texas A&M, they've just got to maintain their poise. And look, you got to hats off to them. They held Texas to only 16 points in that first quarter. And again, going back, Joni Taylor, handling adversity. Well, you got to handle as the pressure gets turned up by the Longhorns.
Skipped across to Webster. Off the front iron, and Oldacre snatches it down, out and running, and Aaliyah Crump is there. So every Texas player that's touched the court thus far has gotten points. Crump with her first 2 since November 19th.
And the fast break. Texas just gets out and running every time they get possession of the basketball.
This Texas A&M team looking for their first win. They got their lone SEC win against Florida back on January 8th in Gainesville. Booker sizes it up over to Harmon. No. As we send it into the studio, Alyssa Lang and Steffi Sorensen hanging out. All right, thanks so much. We had the opportunity to watch Mississippi State go toe-to-toe with Vanderbilt and give the Doors everything they had in Starkville on Thursday. Nice baseline drive there from Janae Kent.
Well, and Texas A&M in this game, they have gotten good shots, not been able to knock them down. And there's been a great inconsistency with their field goal percentage this season.
That one pops out for Crump. So the highs and lows of their shooting percentages. And Joni Taylor just wants to see the consistency as that snatched away as Kent falls to the floor by Carlton. And Preston puts it in off the glass.
You see Joni Taylor telling Janae Kent to shoot the basketball, and she talked about after a player misses a shot, sometimes they get shy. And she said and she put up air quotes, selfish. When that shot comes to you again, you are a shooter. That's the best shot you're going to get in that possession. You've got to take it.
Ken, who had a strong close to her sophomore season, saw an uptick in scoring. Currently a career best with 8+, 3 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Kent wide open and hits the three.
Yeah, it's all about confidence. Okay, you miss one. You got to have amnesia in this game, especially if you put the work in, you got to trust your work.
7-point ball game here in Austin. Meanwhile, looking inside, the Oldacre trying to occupy the paint with Emerald Park inside to Justice Carlton, who extends the lead. 33% from the floor today, just to finish up with what you're saying, Carolyn. They shoot 39% clip from the floor on the season, does the Aggies. Pryor checking back in the ball game for Joni Taylor. She's set to inbound it. Janae Kick with 7 points already. And blocking foul, the offensive foul going against Vanessa Seydoux.
That's the guard's fault. The guard's got to be a little more patient before you take off in your execution, making sure your post players and all they're set before you come off.
We talked about this Texas A&M program learning a lot in their sled through the SEC. 12 out of the 15 players are new to the program.
It's a gauntlet. There are 9 teams in the top 25 in the SEC.
And they're facing off against the number 4 Texas Longhorns inside, and quick foul picked up by the Aggies again, goes against Seydoux. So 2 quick personal fouls from Seydoux. Well, while we have this time, Texas and Kentucky highlight Wednesday's SEC Network men's basketball coverage as the Wildcats and the Longhorns get underway from Rupp Arena at 7 Eastern. You can also see it on the ESPN app. Oldacre, nice move inside. Short gets her own rebound. Another opportunity, bounces out again. Ashton Judd tries to wrestle it down. Jump ball, possession arrow, goes to the Aggies.
Kyla Oldacre is trying to make her presence felt. That South Carolina game, only 1 for 3. When you're 6'6", you got to get more touches and more opportunities. And when you do, you've got to be ready to finish.
And she's one of the best in the conference in terms of those second chance opportunities. On the other end, though, commits the personal foul as Blow tries to get to the hole. Oldacre, the senior out of Mason, Ohio, fouls Blow. Blow will go to the line and shoot a couple.
Yeah, Oldacre's averages are up this season. Last year, about 8.8 points per game. This year, over 12. And the SEC, bigger, stronger, faster. And it's all about that production in the paint. I mean, we took a look at nationally, well, first in the conference of the SEC, the teams that win the points in the paint, they win, 92.5% of those games.
When you just think about, the top teams in the country in terms of paint points for the 5 are SEC teams. Number 5 here in the country, with Texas averaging better than 45 a game. So far this afternoon, they've already got 18 this time going outside with Jordan Lee. No Aaliyah Crump aboard. And the putback waved off as Crump is fouled before the shot. So Aaliyah Crump, we mentioned the highest rated recruit for Vic Schaefer, was coached by the same head coach of Paige Becker's different high school.
Yeah, Joni Taylor was upset about the offensive rebounding, but nobody touches Aaliyah Crump. And that's where you've got to be upset. Yeah, you don't want that foul called, but that foul doesn't exist if you do your job on the box out to start with.
Well, being able to protect the paint, was one of the areas of emphasis for Joni Taylor when we got a chance to talk with her earlier. Boxing out, getting those rebounds, running the floor as Fats Johnay pushes it too strong, and Kent recovers it. Nearly throws it away. Johnay going at Oldacre. The putback and stare down afterward from Fats Johnay.
And that's where Joni Taylor has wanted Fats to be more aggressive, not play so much of a finesse game when she gets the ball inside.
Leading rebounder in the SEC is Fats Johnay.
Seydoux has got her hands full trying to guard Oldacre.
And coming over to help was Johnay as well. Too late as Oldacre puts it in. So Kyla Oldacre now with 4 points. 4 different players for the Longhorns with 4 points. Only 5 minutes gone by. Johnay, front iron, no. Oldacre tried with the box out. Seydoux, it's a little pinball action. Preston comes up with it. Spin move along the left side. Open look for Jordan Lee. Can't get it to fall. Ashton Judd, the offensive rebound, but snatched away by Pryor. Moving through some traffic. As Pryor gets it back. Looks down the three, halfway down, and pops back out. Well, you said this earlier, Carolyn, the fact that the Aggies holding Texas to 16 points in the first quarter, 11 here in the second quarter, and playing them tough right there is Johnay with the personal.
Well, when you did
this great 17-0 start before dropping the last 2, and they are looking to bounce back here against their in-state rival, Kyla Oldacre, at the line to shoot a couple. It's Longhorns who have thus far +5 in the rebounding category, 20 to 8 points in the paint, and pretty even there on the second chance points.
Joni Taylor worked on a press offense of having someone run out of bounds, make that pass out of bounds in order to get it in.
Hard foul to the floor. A blocking foul goes against Oldacre.
Hey, but kudos to the big girl to stand in there and try to take it. I like it.
What I also appreciate is that Kyla Oldacre's face never changes no matter what's happening.
Look, stone face. She can play poker any day.
Just like, all right, shake it off. As Kent at the line. Janae Kent, the junior out of the Chicagoland area.
Yeah, that's Oldacre's second foul.
You just have to be careful. Oldacre with 2. Brea Cunningham with 2 as well. And she's back at the scorer's table.
Seydoux trying to keep Oldacre off the glass, unsuccessful.
Ultimately collects it. Pryor scatting her way to the hoop, and Oldacre with another swat. Kyla Oldacre making her presence felt before checking out of the ball game.
But Pryor's got to understand, you're coming at 6'6". Now, what you could do right there, get yourself a shot fake, and then get yourself to the free throw line.
Anita Franchini in the ball game. She gets about a 5-second violation. Third one we've seen so far today, Carolyn. What is it that Texas does so well on the defensive end?
Well, number one, they're well scouted, so they know where Texas A&M is going to be before they get there. And then constant motion. You don't guard one action, you guard the second and third one.
Inside to Cunningham, who comes back in, and a jump ball, but it's going to stay with Texas with 16 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Yeah, Cunningham has provided a great inside presence for Texas as well, transferring in from Arizona at 6'4". Yeah, the rotations of bigs. We talked about Oldacre. You've got Cunningham. You've got Carlton.
Soft touch won't fall for Cunningham. An 8-point ball game, so Texas A&M hanging right in there with the 4th-ranked Longhorns here on the road.
Just imagine if Texas A&M would have been able to take care of the basketball.
Again, going inside, this time against Madison Booker. Emphatic block.
Texas's defense, they play hungry. If one is beat, the next rotation is there. Did you see how high Madison Booker got up off the floor?
Baseline J won't fall. And Emerald Parker comes up with it. And if you're Joni Taylor, you gotta love the fearlessness of Nye Pryor, but as you mentioned, you gotta remember that you're 5'3" in the process going up against the length of Texas. Then the electricity of Preston down the floor bounces out.
But the Pryor just gonna come right back at you.
This time pulls up from the free throw line. No, Parker. The putback and the foul.
Look, we got 1 minute and 48 seconds left in this game. Texas only scored 25 points against LSU. So Joni Taylor has got to look and build on what she's able to do defensively when she goes and talks to this team at halftime.
The great defensive mind that you mentioned, that season low against the Tigers back on the 11th. While we have you, next Sunday we've got more women's basketball with a triple header coming your way again as number 7 Kentucky hosting Georgia, bouncing off of that big win over Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Auburn, and then we'll see the Longhorns at Arkansas. Kentucky, who has been boosted by the play of Toni Morgan, the job that she has done, taking over that point guard position for Kenny Brooks, only player in Division I this season, averaging at least 15 points per game and 8 assists as well.
We did that Kentucky-Oklahoma game, and Toni Morgan refused to lose. Just took over that one.
That one rolls in for the Longhorns, Madison Booker.
Texas A&M, they've got Pryor having to handle the basketball a lot.
Inside to Parker, but stepping in the passing lane is Justice Carlton. Leading the break is Booker. Nice bounce pass. Give it up for Carlton. The great defensive effort, and then she's rewarded on the opposite end. Hilton coming right back. Lamaya Hilton silencing the crowd for just a moment with that 3. You see the whopping numbers and assists, 12 assists for Texas on 15 made baskets in this first half. Booker, mid-range, falling away.
Madison Booker has just expanded her game, and I think the experience that she had a couple years ago running the point when Roy Harmon was out, I mean, that's just a 1-2 punch that Vic Schaefer has the pleasure of coaching, and a player like this that is constantly trying to raise her game to another level.
The All-American who chatted with us earlier, and I asked, well, hey, what is it more that you can do? And she says, well, one of the things I go back and look at is, you know, I've got to find ways to continue to impact the game. I feel some type of way if I don't get 10+ rebounds in a game, or if I'm not assisting more. And
you got to love great players that come into the season that their goal is to average a double-double.
Currently Booker, 19.5 points, 7 better rebounds, and now that foul against Preston with 11.5 seconds remaining.
When the foul was called, the clock kept ticking. I think the officials got to go back and put some more time on the clock.
Still take a quick look.
He's got to be ready to just, under her own time, patience. When that shot comes there, the confidence to pull the trigger.
So they added some time back on the clock now. 15.2 seconds remaining in the first half. Nye Pryor, just 2 of 8 from the floor, 4 points in her first free throw attempts of the game. Misses both. Longhorns. The hole for the last shot. Preston with a contested shot there. Tough for the defender in her face, and that's how we close. Just to see as eye about what he's going to do offensively with Madison Booker, who has been just kind of cool so far this afternoon with 8 points as the Aggies see Booker come up with that rebound. 8 points in that first half. Again, one of the top scorers in the nation, averaging about 19.5 a game.
Yeah, one of the things that was hard for me to follow with Texas in the first half is there was no routine of what they were going to do offensively. It was kind of an equal opportunity offense, and that goes back to, okay, Madison Booker. Like, if I'm Dick Schaefer, I'm thinking, you got to stop Madison Booker first. That's my strong move. Then have a counter to that.
Rory Harmon on the inbound has it poked away by Fats John A. John A, one of the 12 newcomers for Joni Taylor. Some international flair as well. Oldacre asking for it, receives it. A couple of moves on Parker, it pops off the rim. And it's going to be Aggies basketball.
You can see that Vic Schaefer's trying to get Oldacre established early. I think he is trying to really ignite a fire under Kyla Oldacre, because if this Texas team has the hopes of winning a national championship, they're going to need play from 0-0 in white.
The crossover from Pryor, no. John A got a hand on it. A tie-up, the jump ball, and it's going to go to Texas. When Nye Pryor, we featured her and Rory Harmon in the open. Pryor, who's the leading scorer for the Aggies, held to just 4 points so far this afternoon.
Well, and Pryor also a player that averages over 7 assists a game, only 1 so far today.
Rory Harmon, the graduate, back over to the All-American Booker, who finds Jordan Lee along the baseline. And you said it earlier in the first half, Carolyn, just the jump we have seen in Jordan Lee's game from last year to now. The sophomore out of Stockton, California, bettering herself, career best in points, and that grand improvement, +9.
This sophomore, attention to detail, and she's worked on her game. Look, this is a young woman that wants to be a doctor, so she got to have her life in order.
So meticulous with the details as Kent fouls Lee from behind, and I think I love watching Jordan Lee and just what she has done from last year to now. Of course, the biggest three-point threat on the floor for the Longhorns. They were 0 for 10 in that first half, but I also really enjoyed the conversation that you and Jordan had, just talking about supplies, school supplies, right? Office supplies. And you hipped her to some erasable highlighters.
Erasable highlighters. See, Jordan Lee, she like organizes her day, and it's color coded. It's color coordinated with, you know, blue means that you've got to take care of on the court. Yellow is something else, and she is so organized. She even schedules what time she's going to take a nap and how long her naps can be. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, she gets an hour and a half.
Naps are critical. Naps are critical. Would
I'm
you agree?
scheduling those into my day.
All right. Set an alarm on your phone, Jordan.
Nap time.
This Texas A&M team clawing and fighting through a very tough Southeastern Conference. Too strong there. Rory Harmon pops up and gets that rebound. The 5'6" graduate out of Houston.
And no player for Texas has broken into double figures yet.
Harmon calls out the play. And then a foul under the basket against Parker. Remember, this is a Texas A&M team without Lauren Ware. She played about a minute in their last game against Vanderbilt, but bothered by a knee. So the 60-year player has to look on as of now.
Well, not only is she 6 years, she's 6'5", and really, Texas A&M could use her in the paint.
Just like they used the 6'6" Kyla Oldacre for Texas. That second chance opportunity, a third of her makes are off of second chances, off that offensive glass.
See what Texas is going under ball screens and meeting Pryor. Pryor's got to recognize that the defense is going under, move those screens down, and then you can look for your shot.
And Oldacre going to check in on her point guard after a tough screen there. She ran into an offensive foul, goes against Parker. Another for her, that's her fourth, so she'll go to the bench. Another look here.
Yeah, a lot of Parker's fouls today have been on the setting screens, not getting the opportunity to foul while you're hitting somebody, but just with your body. Sadu now has got her hands full inside.
Celeste Blow leading the break for the Aggies. Booker falls to the floor, so does Blow. And this is going to go against Rory Harmon. Well, this is a Texas team trying to follow up last season. SEC co-champions during the regular season, made it to the Final Four, faced off against South Carolina. And they've had a number of meetings, 6 in the last 368 days. It's been in favor of the Gamecocks, especially in the ones that have really meant a lot, the SEC tournament, along with the national semifinal. And this is one of the premier teams in the country. And a program that's very proud and continue to rise under Vic Schaefer. Had a number of Elite Eight appearances, 3 in the last 4 years, and then was able to break through the Final Four last year, looking to get back and do more.
Well, when you look at this year's stats compared to Jody Conrad's first national championship, there's a lot of similarities. Oh, a steal by Jordan Lee.
4 quick points, Harmon, and then Jordan Lee. Defense, the offense really quickly converting, and the crowd loves it inside the Moody Center as Texas A&M and his full court pressure that his Longhorns pick up.
Oh yeah, it's all built on keeping you guessing, keeping you off balance, never letting yourself get into a rhythm. This Texas team just constantly bringing the pressure. I mean, you got a point guard in Rory Harmon. Well, you remember the name Cami Etheridge? She had created some nightmares for teams as well.
And talking about those nightmares, the turnover and the steal from A&M, or from Texas rather, and Madison Pooker pulls up where she is most comfortable, hitting 50% in the mid-range this season, CP.
Look, that's all about, number one, your work, but playing on balance and under control to get into that shot.
I love the question that you asked her about, well, how did you fall in love with the mid-range? Why the mid-range? Because that's a lost art in our game.
And I asked her about reading ball screens, and I'm going to tell you, she gave me the most technical answer. You know, most players will say, when I'm open, then I'm going to take it. No, she talked about reading, not only reading her defender, the defender of the screener, where it was, whether they go under, over, like full thought process that becomes so natural for her.
Harmon finds Lee. Inside to Oldacre, gives it up to Harmon. Nice find on the baseline, and Justin Carlton collects 2.
You know, Vic Schaefer loves that unselfishness and moving the basketball to give up a good shot to get a great miss.
Carolyn, we have seen a number of 5-second violations for Joni Taylor's Aggies team.
In the room, those beautiful steel blue eyes, when they locked in on you, she was listening to every word that you said, and she made you listen to everything that she had because she had so much great advice.
And when we talked with, both coaches and just thinking about the impact, Vic Schaefer pointed out the fact that, hey, I wish she was still here. I wish she was still coaching. And even in this changing landscape of college sports overall, felt like she would still be able to make that same impact even now.
Well, I think that because she's a woman that stood with a conviction of knowing who she was and what's right. Right for human beings and people in general. And I also think that keeping the pride in the game. Now in the landscape of NIL, people are playing of where they can get the best brand or where they can make the most money. And she continued to instill in her players the pride that you play for when you step on the floor.
Jordan Lee launching from 3, now 0 of 12 from three-point land for the Longhorns.
I think that's the other area that Texas has to look at of where, if teams pack the paint, where their perimeter scoring is going to come from. That was an issue. Remember when South Carolina was going after their second championship, and that was an area that Dawn Staley had to, now she has players like Tessa Johnson that can knock down threes. Well, Texas has Jordan Lee.
That one rolls in for Rory Harmon.
And they have Ashley Crump that can shoot the three, but they've got to get to where, they're going to be left open for a reason. They got to knock that shot down. That's a 5-second call on Texas A&M.
And so our best two players, and Fats Johnay and Nye Pryor, will take a seat.
I meant Aaliyah Crump. I may have called her Ashley. Aaliyah Crump, who is a three-point shooter, a freshman, a sniper.
And here she is.
Oh, I needed her to hit that one on cue.
Cheney Spencer now running the point for the Aggies. Again, just two players with SEC experience for this Texas A&M team, as Hilton's turnaround off of 1 foot won't fall. Rory Harmon, you see the hair blowing in the wind. Out ahead, and we'll go for, take a Sidbury. And drops for Harmon at the free throw line.
You see Rory Harmon's got that bounce. Vic Schaefer challenged his graduate player to bring the energy. Wasn't 100% pleased with shoot-around and the energy that was bringing. And you see Rory Harmon bringing that now late in the second half.
Well, she vowed to not have a game like she had against LSU. Only had 2 points. She came out shooting in that first half, had 12 of her 16 points against South Carolina. Really helped to set the tone for the Longhorns. But you just think about what she has been through and the way that she has fought back. How do you know how to pull something out of a player like that? How do you know how to test the waters with your players and see how they respond?
Well, I think that Vic Schaefer knew that when he was recruiting Rory Harmon, because I can remember when she came in as a freshman and he said before she leaves here, she will be the best point guard to have ever donned a Longhorn jersey. And I believe she's in that category. There have been some great ones that have come here.
Well, you mentioned it at the top of the broadcast, the fact that she broke that 40-year record here, the all-time career assists leader here at Texas.
Yeah, I thought Cammie Etheridge would hold that record, 777, forever, and Rory Harmon was able to break it. Now she has 100+ to that record.
And Harmon, who we remember just a couple of years ago, had a great start to a season, tore ACL, things kind of changed. She took notes from the bench. She found ways to get involved and how to better herself so that when she took the court again, she could run this team, and she helped them all the way to the Final Four. They'll need her grit, guts, and confidence once more this season.
And I think she played a big part in the development of Madison Booker. Remember, Madison Booker had to play point, and it was Rory Harmon that was almost like her point guard coach to helping her see things and understanding how she had to run a team when she was running it at the point.
Sidbury on Webster. Dribble hand off to Janae West. Go Kent.
Yeah, Kent has to recognize she's got a mismatch. She has a smaller Rory Harmon. Clear out, go inside and post up.
On the run, and the foul against Preston. Vic Schaefer is just frozen on the sideline. Couldn't believe that win against his sophomore guard.
Yeah, I think Preston has an argument, because when you come over defensively, you can move side to side and backwards. You just can't move forward. And if anything, it's a flop because she was falling backwards. But I don't know that would have been an offensive foul.
That was a favorable call for the Aggies here on the road. Jordan Webster didn't play last year at Kansas from UC Riverside to start out her career.
But this is a sharp woman, an undergrad, a master's, working on her second master's at Texas A&M. Number 6 in black.
One of the things that Joni Taylor told us about this team, hey, I've got a great group of human beings. I mean, these young women came in new to a program, trying to get adjusted and adapted, and their chemistry is on point. It takes time for it to turn over into wins, but these young women continue to get better and better, and we know the way that she likes to sow into her players and help to make them be the absolute best that they can be.
I love how she made the analogy of the thunderstorm. She said her mama taught her in a thunderstorm, don't pull over. You got to keep going. Put 2 hands on the wheel. Keep an eye on the white line so that you know to stay in the lane. I mean, there are so many things, and to stay in that lane, find your why and focus on the right things. Such a great teacher, Joni Taylor.
Indeed. Keep pressing and moving forward, even down big here on the road to your in-state rival. Continue to compete. Continue to find small wins within today's game. Joni Taylor, who played her ball at Alabama, originally from Meridian, Mississippi. Well, we have one more gymnastics meet for you this week, and it is coming your way tonight. A top 10 matchup between Auburn and Arkansas on the mat from the barn at 6 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. And Rory Harmon takes a seat, 10 points, 6 rebounds for Rory Harmon to go along with a couple of assists. This has been a tough quarter for Texas A&M, held without a field goal thus far coming out of the locker room.
First half, first 2 quarters, pretty good defensively, but Texas has turned up their defense here in the third.
Great job there by Janae Kent. Kent, who has been the bright spot, the lone player for the Aggies in double figures after that make. And Preston at the buzzer has it. Phillip Blake's pacing the way. One of 2 undefeated teams in the nation, along with UConn. Both played them all.
UConn's got Notre Dame, and the Commodores play Michigan tomorrow. We'll be flipping back and forth on the dial to catch those 2.
We could very well see the Commodores make a deep push. Shea Ralph has got a great collection of players. Think about Sasha Washington coming back. There's newness of Aubrey Galvin running the point. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Michaela Blakes.
And Blakes is a star, not just because she can get hers, but she makes everybody else better and holds them accountable in a good leadership way. And you also got to compliment Justine Passat. Passat came to Vanderbilt as purely a 3-point shooter, got a much well-rounded game. It's coming. It's coming. That was the scratch version.
All right, now CP on the 1s and 2s with the remix right there. And Texas will travel to Nashville next month on February 12th. 5-0 in SEC play. First time they've done it since that 92-93 season where Vandy made it to the Final Four.
Oh, another turnover. 22 turnovers tonight for the Aggies.
And Aaliyah Crump turns it into points for the Longhorns. Get crumped up.
I can see that on a t-shirt. It's coming. Yeah, Crump, when she went down, it was right before Texas took that trip to Vegas playing UCLA and South Carolina, and I think that, you know, they were able to persevere, but now having her back, that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Just the swarm of the defense. I mean, this is what Texas is going to do to you. When you're handling the ball, don't turn your back when you play in Texas. They're going to sneak you.
Leah Krupp, the freshman, as we'll continue to watch her progress. Fats Johnnet at the free throw line. And it's just been a rough go of it for the Aggies in terms of the turnovers here this afternoon, much in line with what we've seen from them this season and how Texas has capitalized. They really create chaos on the defensive end and make it so difficult for you for 94 feet. That one bounces in for the Longhorns at Oldacre. Kyla Oldacre now with a double-double here, 10 points and 12 rebounds, her 4th of the season.
Looking at what Texas has next, at Arkansas, at Florida, and then they've got a date on February 1st on ABC against Oklahoma. It'll be interesting to see Kyla Oldacre going up against Reagan Beers.
A good matchup of battle of bigs, but that's what we expect to see. I mean, the post play has to be on point, as Janae Kent has been on point thus far for the Aggies. She's
you might count Spears a big, but the style that they play, all 5 out, but having players like Kyla Oldacre and then Medina Okot, I love the graphic on social media, Funky Cole Medina, because she hit that 3
yes,
that nobody expected in that game against Texas. Even Vic Schaefer talked about the unexpected 3. But, I mean, South Carolina's known for that. Remember that 3 that Camila Cardoso hit
yes,
in the SEC tournament? The bigs at South Carolina, they work on the shots beyond the arc.
Surprised at any time as Pryor had that one left short. Preston was right behind her to try to track it down. And as she tries to take it back the other way, she goes down. Just a frustrating afternoon for Nye Pryor.
Yeah, only 4 points so far today.
The offensive rebound and put back in for Crump. And when we came on the broadcast, we talked about Nye Pryor. I mean, one of the best point guards in the league. If you stack her up against some of the point guards around the country, you think about the Rory Harmons and Hannah Hidalgos, Olivia Miles, Raven Johnson. Her numbers are right there with points, assists, steals.
Yeah, the transfer in from Sacred Heart. But when you get to the SEC, it's a different game. And things would open up for Nye Pryor if the other guards like Blow, Webster, Hilton can be a consistent threat for the Aggies.
We told you about Nye Pryor out of Baltimore, Maryland. Some great company there with Anna Beard, Dawn Staley, with that company of 2,000 points, 500 assists, and 400 steals throughout their Division I careers.
She's one heck of a player. But with a guard with her skills, you've got to have players on the floor with her who can help spread the floor. You know, an anchor in the post, and then wing players that defenses can't help off of to allow her to go to work, because she can handle that rock like a yo-yo.
Webster has it, 7 to go on the shot clock. Still far from the rim, gotta attack. And Preston got a hand on it. 0.8 seconds remaining on the shot clock for Texas A&M.
I love seeing Vic Schaefer and his daughter Blair both up on the sideline and watch them in practice. They're in a 1-2 step. And Blair knows exactly what Vic is thinking because not only does she coach with him, she played for him. So she knows what he is thinking. And Vic compliments Blair in the recruiting of how she has the ability to connect to players. I mean, that is invaluable when you're coaching at this level.
You think about the staff as Crump gets it to go, but you've got Blair, who is going to be potentially a future coach. We talked about Sydney Carter, also a former player on staff. Lindsay Wisdom Hilton, Elena Lovato. I mean, these are names and faces who have been with Vic Schaefer throughout the collection of his coaching years from Texas A&M to Mississippi State and now here at Texas.
And Vic compliments Lovato of her basketball mind. Said she's probably knows as much basketball as he does, constantly watching and studying the game.
And that make there from Janae Kent. So a bright spot, something that Joni Taylor can hope to see more of throughout the rest of the games in the SEC. Backdoor cut and a sixth there from Crump to Judd.
Yeah, A&M is, you just got to build in the SEC. You got to, I'd say, pull clips of the good things that you did and then teach in the bad things and just continue to encourage your team to build on the positives.
Kent, spin move, tough shot. And Oldacre tries to make sure they get off of her in the process, swinging some arms, but she's fouled as the under 5 media timeout here from Austin, Texas. And the Longhorns section did. Blair decided to keep
her jacket on.
Yeah, I mean, she's sparkling, she's blinging, so gotta keep the fit together.
I asked Madison Booker if he noticed that Vic was keeping his blazer on longer this season, and she was like, no, I hadn't noticed that, because in that South Carolina game, I was waiting for it to come off a whole lot sooner than it actually did.
Taya Sidbury with the make. Sidbury, who played at Boston College. A double-digit score there for the Eagles before moving over.
And that's another area that Texas has, the depth. Can continue to keep fresh bodies on the floor.
We came in talking about Texas and what makes them a title contending team, much like we saw with Pat Summitt teams. Vic Schaefer says, hey, look, we've got to make sure we're able to rebound the basketball. We've got to have strong defense. The scoring has come this season. I mean, they average nearly 90 points a game, but that defense and that rebounding really helped to make the difference.
Well, I can remember looking at stat sheets with Pat Summitt, and there were 3 areas that she looked, and one was rebound margin. She also looked at defensive rebound percentage, and then she looked at opponents' points per game. Everything was on the defensive side, and you know, to get on the floor, to play for her, you got to play defense, and that is not much different than the standard by Vic Schaefer.
Once labeled as the Secretary of Defense, as Franchini runs over Judd, and it's going to be Texas basketball.
Oh, yeah. Nice defense, moving over, getting both feet down in parallel to the offense.
Freshman Grace Printer on the floor.
Oh, that's a travel.
A traveling violation against Sidbury.
Yeah, a little bit excited. She was so open. Got happy feet.
Jamie Spencer too strong. Oldacre wrestles it away again. Oldacre now with 16 rebounds. And taking a look at the top 8 in the SEC, and there's going to be a fun jockey as the season continues for that #1 spot. Vanderbilt currently undefeated along with South Carolina and Tennessee, but there is still plenty of season and time for programs like LSU, Texas, and Ole Miss to make runs.
People going to watch the SEC standings like they watch the stock market. Because there's going to be some shaking up going on as teams that haven't played each other before going to have to play them on their home court. And just like Auburn beating Alabama demonstrates anybody can beat anyone on any given night. What Georgia did today, I mean, against Ole Miss, you cannot go into any SEC game and go, oh, this team's going to win or that team's going to win. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
That's what makes this conference so exciting.
And when we talked with players about it, I remember earlier Madison Booker she just kind of shook her head like, yeah, you just can't. You just can't ever have a night off. You always have to bring it in some capacity. Whether your shot's not dropping, you got to bring other elements like rebounding or assist or defense to the table.
Well, I think the SEC is back. You know, a few years ago. Oh.
The collision there with
Spencer diving on the floor.
And she's feeling it, all of it right now. But to get big ups from our coach, Joni Taylor. Well, the freshman out of Montgomery, Texas, back.
I mean, she's laying on the floor. I loved her energy at shoot around today. And you talk about every dance move possible is.
She was hitting it.
Oh,
wait a minute.
You missed it.
She was hitting the Quan and Kay Wayne, those little TikTok dances.
And was aware of everything that was happening on the court also.
The multitasker that Cheney Spencer is. And she'll continue to earn minutes on the court for plays like that, sacrificing her body, diving for the basketball, those hustle plays. We said the SEC is back. Here is evidence of such. 9 teams in the SEC in the AP Top 25 poll.
That's why you got to bring your A game every night. 9 teams in the top 25. And the talent that has come into this league as well, whether it be new players like freshmen or transfers that are coming in, have been the tops in their league that have taken this league to another level.
Well, some who have, caught our eye. We talked about some of the ball handlers. Aaliyah Chavez was one that we were excited to see. Tony Morgan, who came over after being an all-ACC selection.
Mia Paldo at Tennessee. Aubrey Galvin at Vanderbilt, little freshman point guard. Aaliyah Chavez at Oklahoma. There's talent. Can I go back to Georgia?
Okay, let's hear it.
Georgia won today, and their big girl, Mia Woolfolk, didn't play.
Okay.
I mean, that was...
Props to Coach Abe.
Yeah, she did a great job today getting that team ready. I'm going to tell you, I've been watching Georgia all season long, and they have been right on the cusp, on the edge. They are a much different team. Look, when Coach Abe took that program over, she's had to build and look for a quick fix with transfers, and now to have players that are in for their second year with her, they're understanding what she's looking for.
Would you kind of consider them one of your dark horse teams, if you will, out of the conference? And I know I say that respectfully.
Yeah.
Right? But you look at the top 4, top 8 within the league, who's going to make that next jump in the back half of the SEC to bring some noise this
I'm going to
season?
tell you, getting into the top 8 going into the SEC tournament is going to be a dogfight. Because there are 9 that are ranked in the top 25.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think Georgia is that team with the demonstration of what they put on today. They didn't barely beat Ole Miss. They handled them today. Carnegie just said, hold my pets. I got this.
Let me get this quick 32. A 30-piece for Danny Carnegie. Remember the SEC tournament in Greenville, March 4th through the 8th.
I'm going to tell you, get your tickets because that tournament is going to be fire.
You gonna bring that heat? No, the team's gonna bring that heat, but you know you gonna add a little blaze to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just bringing the kerosene to turn it on.
Ashton Judd rims it around from three. That's the first made three of the afternoon for the Texas Longhorns to put the exclamation on the top of this Lone Star State showdown. Spencer, no. Texas remains perfect at home, extending their home win streak to 37 after an impressive bounce-back win after a pair of close losses in their last couple of games. Vic Schaefer shakes the hands, says